Five Nights at Freddy's is about a troubled security guard who begins working at Freddy Fazbear's Pizzeria. While spending his first night on the job, he realizes that the late night shift at Freddy's won't be so easy to make it through. So, this movie was directed by Emma Tammi, and I'll be honest with you, I've never heard of this lady before in my life. And when I heard that she was directing the movie, yeah, I had concerns. It was a no-name director, but I have heard of Josh Hutcherson, and I've also heard of Matthew Lillard. So, of course, these are two actors that people really like, and it's like, okay, I have some faith in this movie, so let's see how it goes. Of course, for some people, having those two heavy-hitting actors was enough to get them to go want to watch the movie, but for me, I needed a bit more because, yeah, that's fine that they have these two heavy hitters, but this is a series that I grew up with. I believe I was in high school around the time when the series at first came out, and me and some friends would always play it while we were in school or when we would go home and things like that. And seeing this series grow with you makes you hold it up to a different standard than the average person who has never even heard of this series, who went to go see this movie or planned to go and watch this movie. On the bright side, this movie was being produced by Blumhouse, and I love Blumhouse, as most people know. That's one of my favorite production homes. But it also had Scott himself having a hand in this movie. So I'm thinking, okay, cool. We have Blumhouse, great studio. Then we have Scott himself, the creator of the game. There's no way they can mess this up. They have all of the source material that they need at their hands. What could possibly go wrong with that? I'll be honest with you guys though, for as long as we had to wait to watch this movie, I left feeling very disappointed in how the movie turned out. Not because they didn't add certain things into the story, because it's one movie, there's a lot of games and a lot of books, there's no way that they can include it. I just expected them to get a few things right that they decided to change. And you would think that with them having access to all the books, all of the games throughout the years, that the story should be the easiest part for them to nail, right? Now, I could be biased because, again, like I said, I've grew up with the series. I've read all of the books. I have all of the books. I played all through every single game that they have, even the recent VR game. But a lot of people that I've talked to who knows absolutely nothing about the series really enjoyed the movie for what it was. Yeah, they had questions because they threw in a lot of things that only fans of the series would know, but for the most part, they enjoyed the movie way more than I did. So it could be as simple as me just knowing too much of the series, so my expectations were all the way up here, whereas most people were just kind of average. They didn't really expect much because they didn't really know much. So they went into this movie blind. I went into it knowing way too much information. So one thing I really feel like they missed the mark on was making this movie PG-13. Now, I'm not saying PG-13 movies don't do good, but this is a movie about killer animatronics. I'm expecting something, some kind of blood, some kind of gore. It's a movie about these giant mechanical animatronics killing people. They did a lot of things where, they hide the death, or they'll show someone about to die, then they cut to black, or they'll show their shadows of them being mauled apart, but they don't even show too much with that. And so I felt it to be very cheap for it, because even in the books are graphic. You reading them, not the game so much, because the game is just full of a bunch of jump scares, which I guess the movie did that. But when you pull the books into this, it's why it was weird that they went this route instead of just being how the books were, how they were graphic and things like that. So I expected a lot more. Like that one movie with Nicolas Cage in it, that was a good example of a R-rated Five Nights at Freddy's movie. And honestly, I think I like that a bit more. Story, not so much, but as far as all the things that were happening, the gore, their animatronics and things, their characters, I like them more than I liked this movie. And another thing is, this is supposed to be a horror movie. There wasn't a single part in this movie where I was scared. I didn't jump at anything. I didn't feel uneasy on any scenes. I was just watching the movie as it was a regular movie. And as a matter of fact, I think I even laughed at a few scenes that were supposed to be scary. They were just like very cheesy. And in the movie, they kept trying to do this thing with the balloon boy. They kept trying to have this scary moment with that, but it never landed. Every time it popped up, I was just like, oh, here's balloon boy again. And then they tried it again at the very end of the movie as like a last minute scare, and it just didn't land. Then there's this one segment in the movie where they're building these forts with the animatronics. Yes, I kid you not. The main character, his little sister, the security guard, who probably the worst character in the movie, are building these forts with these animatronics, and they're just like playing with them and they're having fun. And it just felt weird in a Five Nights at Freddy's movie. That part really just stood out. I was like, why is this even included? Like, they could have cut that scene and still been able to tell the story that they wanted to without like it messing with anything. It would have been perfectly fine. As far as the characters go, I think Josh Hutcherson did a really good job with what he was given. I mean, he was asleep most of the time, but when he was awake, I really started to feel some of that emotion that he was giving. I resonated with him a lot in some scenes, so I understood why he made some decisions that he made throughout the movie. But, you know, again, most of the time he was sleeping, so that felt kind of odd to me too. But those make sense once you like get through the movie of why this whole dream sequence thing has something to do with it. But as far as like in the real time things, like he's just like asleep throughout the entire movie. So that felt really odd to me. Matthew Lillard's character, I don't really understand the hype with him as an actor. I mean, everyone who I tell that to, they're like, oh, like he's such a great actor. All of his movies and things that he's played in, he's done a really good job. And they always reference Scream 1. Now, I don't know if it's because, you know, I didn't watch those movies when they first came out because, you know, I was young. But I went back to watch these movies that he's in, and it's like, he's okay. I mean, everyone's holding him up to this high standard, but I think he's all right. Honestly, I didn't like any of the Scream movies. I felt them to be very cheesy. And then I did see him in, what was it, 13 Ghosts, I want to say it was. I liked him in that. But besides that, I just think he's an okay actor. So I don't think him alone was able to save this movie, especially with how small of a part he played into this movie. But of course, you know, going forward, he plays a much bigger role. But this movie alone, it was like, it's as if he wasn't even there. And the security guard was probably the worst character of this entire movie. And they definitely rushed her character. Like, her storyline doesn't need to be in this movie. I don't know what they were thinking of including her in so early on into the series. I would have definitely brought her in on like the second or third movie, but the first movie felt odd. And anyone who's played the games knows that the security guard plays such a crucial role in the story going forward currently. So them throwing her in so early is like, you know, what kind of story are you guys trying to tell? And by them doing that, they ended up changing a lot of the lore. Like, they changed a few things to throw her into this series so early on. As far as the little sister in the movie, she did okay. I mean, I don't really expect that much from child actors because, again, they're kid actors. I don't really expect that much, but I think she did really good. I have no complaints on her character. She played the younger sister, and she got along with the animatronics, and she helped move the story along. She didn't annoy me like most kid actors do. And yeah, that's pretty much. Well, no, there was one scene where I was like, why? All in all, I feel like it was an okay movie. I didn't think it was necessarily a good movie by any means, but it's a nice watch. I mean, if you have nothing to watch and you want to get into this Five Nights at Freddy's lore by the movie series, sure, it's a nice watch, especially if you don't know anything about the series. If you're someone who loves the series, you've been following it for a while, you might not like it as much. But then again, there are some things that they throw in there specifically for the fans. And then there's also some cameos that they throw in there that I won't speak about because I'd rather you watch the movie than me just like spoiling who's in this movie. And I don't know, that's pretty much it. Like I said, it was an okay movie. I will say though, they did a really good job on the animatronics. Like, a really good job. You never really get a sense of scaling when it comes to these animatronics throughout the games or of course the books, but in the movie, you know, you get an actual sense of scaling for their size, and they're huge. They're a lot bigger than I thought. And honestly, it's kind of creepy. Well, guys, if you liked the movie or if you didn't like the movie, please let me know down below in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. I've been gone for a while. Obviously, I've been gone for, I guess, a little over a year. I'm back now. I'm going to start uploading videos more often. But I'm going to get back into it, doing things like maybe once or twice a week. Once I get a consistent scheduling on when those will be up, of course, you guys will know. I'll tell you guys when I'm going to be uploading those videos. And I hope to see you guys in the next one.